Hey everyone, welcome back to Static Street Cars and Customs. I'm Static, and today we're going to get rid of this crusty window tint. I'd like to start this video off by exclaiming my supreme disappointment in the current weather situation. I'm sure it's no secret everybody, it seems, in Australia has been suffering it, especially the poor folks up in Queensland. But it's just been torrential rain for the last couple of weeks, and of course I go to work on a Sunday. On a Sunday when I've actually booked myself a long weekend. I figured it's going to be raining anyway. I'll go to work on a Sunday, so I went to work on a Sunday. And allow me to show you this little clip of what happened on the Sunday that I went to work. So I've been trying to make a video for over a week now, and it's been raining and horrid. Today, when I'm at work on a Sunday, this is what we get. Mad. I don't know how well you can see it, but if you have a look as I'm stepping, right? If you have a look at the ground when I'm stepping, it's literally squirting water. That's what we're dealing with. But now we got sunshine. Still a little cloudy, yeah, but sunshine just about everywhere. And I'm at work. I went to work because I thought, why not? It's a Sunday and it's going to be raining anyway. And this is what I get. Watch it rain tomorrow, guaranteed. So with that in mind, it's I'm between rain at the moment. I'm between downpours at the moment, so I'm going to try and get as much done as I can. Everything I'm going to have to do inside the car. So we'll jump in the car. I'll show you the grotness that's on the back window that we've got to deal with, the gear that I'm going to be using, and the methods I'm going to use to do it. So we'll jump in, we'll get into it, and I'll explain more as we go. Alright guys, we are in the car now.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
You can see just how crusty and how grot this rear window tint is. The problem that we do face, and I'll show you a bit of a close-up, is we have the rear window demister is in the way here. It's not in the way, but it's under our tint, so we can't go scraping all the tint off with a razor blade. That will damage the rear demister and just render it completely useless. We don't want that, obviously. It looks like the previous owners had a go, or somebody's had a go at trying to get tint off before, so I don't know if it's damaged already. Hopefully it's not, but I'm still going to treat it like it's not damaged and try not to damage it myself. So there's a few ways we're going to do that, but I'll show you the bits and pieces that we are going to use first. So first and foremost, we're going to use a heat gun. I've had this one for many years. It's done a lot of different jobs for me. The only one thing that sucks about this one at the moment is that it takes a little while to actually push out the proper amount of heat. I guess it's just old. So it does struggle a little bit, but once it gets up to temperature, it's fine. It just takes a little while to get there. Next thing we're going to use is razor blades. So the one thing about these is they're not just sharp on this end. They are actually sharp all the way around. So even on these edges. So what I actually do is I use a bit of tape to just push over these edges, so that when you're actually using, because you've got to put a fair bit of force with your fingers into sort of scraping stuff off, and you cut the end of your fingers really easy. You actually cut it quite deep without realizing how quickly you do it. So these edges are just as sharp as this edge when it comes down to it. But I've got a bunch of these. I'll use on this back window, I might use 2 or 3. They do go dull quite easily when you actually have to cut through the tint, like film itself. If you're just scraping off the adhesive, they're not bad. You can use one for the whole windscreen. Again, I don't want to use it for the whole windscreen on this one. Hopefully I've already shown you that we, I guess from about where my finger's pointing now, down, so maybe 2/3 of the window actually has the demister on it. where the top portion doesn't, the top third doesn't. So hopefully I only really have to use that in the top third, or maybe a little bit in between the demister, just to sort of pull a bit away to then get heat in and continue pulling from there. I don't want to be using that on any of the demister element at all, because that's what could potentially cut it, break it, and whatever else. So we have to be very careful on the back window with the razor blade. So far, heat gun and razor blade. There's a couple of different ways we can also clean it up. Obviously, a window cleaner. This one is just from Bunnings. It's simple green glass cleaner. Any kind of glass cleaner. Did I say glass cleaner or grass cleaner? You guys correct me. Any kind of glass cleaner will do the trick. Next, on this window particularly, on other windows it doesn't matter so much, but I will use some version of scouring pad. The green one here is kind of coarse, but I don't think it'll scratch the window at all. And this one here, I feel like it's not as coarse, but I feel like it's going to catch more of the gummed up sort of adhesive. And I'm going to use that first. I'm going to use that to start with, just so that we can clean up as much of the adhesive. Like I said, somebody had a go at removing stuff before, so there is just the glue on the window, which is what a lot of the fogginess is. So I'm going to have a go at removing that with one or both, or a mixture of the two of these, to hopefully remove as much as possible and see what I've actually left with at the end of it. I feel like where you can see the bubbling from sort of there down, that's more film. I know there's more film up in that corner. I had to figure out which way I was pointing then, and I know there's more film up in that corner also. So we're going to try and get as much film away as possible before I'm actually dealing with any of that, the demister element from sort of about there down. If that makes any sense to you at all. Again, tape, that's just for my razor blades, just so that I don't cut my little fingers. No, they're all good now, but I have done the two front windows, so the driver side and passenger side sort of door glass. I've done that already, and on the very first one I destroyed like the tips of my fingers with those razor blades. So on the second one that I did, it wasn't as difficult. I didn't have as much film to cut away or scrape away, purely because of the way I did it. I pretty much did the two so that I had a practice session on each one, and I needed it to be able to drive the thing around, to be able to sort of move it around and do whatever. So practice session and being able to move it, I've got those done. I've found the best way that works for this tint in this current situation. It's very old tint, it's been on there a very long time. The one thing I'll struggle with today is the stuff that was on the two front windows, which is also on these side windows, which you can't see right now, but I'll have to do those as well. It's been on there a very long time. It's baked on very hard, and it was a struggle for whatever reason. Heat on the inside of it, on the actual film itself, direct heat on the film, wasn't getting it budging at all. I had to actually heat the windscreen on the outside to be able to sort of move it off. So that's going to work against me today because it is raining. It doesn't look to be raining at the moment, but I've pretty much got to work between showers and whatever else at the moment, which is really not ideal. But it's just another struggle. So hopefully we'll get most of the stuff away, and I can sort of put little cuts in. I can dig a blade in and sort of get heat on the inside and start to pull it away. You'll understand more as we sort of show you as I go. But that's the plan. That's my plan for today. I think I'll be able to show you on the side windows a lot clearer what I was just talking about then, as far as sort of cutting into the tint film and then pulling it away with the blade as I heat it up. It'll actually create like an air pocket in it, or an air bubble that I can then sort of pull with. So that's my plan. We'll get stuck into the background. Like I said, first I'll start to clean up as much as I can with the glass cleaner or the grass cleaner, whatever, and the scourers, and see what I come up with. So let's get into that. That's enough of me talking. Hi, I'm over here now. All right, so you can obviously see all of this grubbiness. Some of it seems to be film, if I sort of, but actually I can scratch a bit of that away with my thumbnail. So hopefully all of this stuff, I don't know how well you can see. You can't really see what is film, what isn't. But hopefully a bunch of this stuff, you might even see it just flaking away there as I do that. Hopefully a bunch of that stuff I can just clean away with a scourer. Let me move myself a bit better. Okay, so these bubbles here, this is all actual tint. I don't know if you can see. That's all actual tint film. So a bit of heat with those will hopefully pull them away from the window, and then I'll just continue to heat along and hopefully pull it off in one strip. I don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll get into it to see. So first up, we'll just get our spray and just hit the window. Give the window plenty of it. At the moment I want this to sit and soak a bit. So I've just done half of the window at the moment, one half. And I will grab my razor blade, and I might even show you what I do with the tape here. So we're just little bits of tape, and we just do those ones. So I build that up a little bit. This blade at the moment still has a little bit of oil on it, so the tape's not sticking great, but we just build that up with a few layers. And what that does is just stops that edge from really burying itself into your finger as you're trying to sort of control it. So at the moment, I don't know how well you can see that. I will get closer in. So at the moment you can see there I've pulled a bit of the window film off, and that stuff there is like the gummed up adhesive. So I think the rear window should clean up fairly quickly, hopefully, or as far as like the top third anyway, should clean up very, very quickly. So I'm just going to get into that, no more talking. I've talked enough of it for the moment. I'll get into that and see how we go. Alright, so if we have a look at the rear window now, you can see I've sort of cleaned it up a bit. It's still a little foggy, it's still a little wet, but that's okay. So we can see that for the most part I've cleaned off the adhesive. This is stuff on the outside, this is like bird droppings and whatnot on the outside. For the most part I've cleaned it up. So you can see there's still little bits of film here, which we need to get off. This stuff seems to want to be able to scratch off with a fingernail or something like that, so that shouldn't be too bad. It's as we get sort of down, and so I haven't cleaned it right off, but you can see this is actual film now. That's all film. Once we get down to that, it's going to be a real struggle, and it gets really tight into there. So that'll be the real struggle. You can see you've still got some of the gummed up sort of, if I can focus, it's having a hard time focusing because there's real small grubby stuff in the foreground and it's not really focusing well, but you can see that sort of stuff. That's just that'll clean up really easy. And we've got this stuff, this is still film. So the problem we face is when you get up into this sort of stuff, like the sort of, not window gasket, but the like the actual window adhesive stuff itself. Once you get up into that, the tint actually really pulls into that sort of stuff. So it's a real hassle to get out. That's where you need to really get in with the scourers and all that sort of gear to get it right out. If you try and clean that with razor blades, you're just not going to get it all. So that's actually really tricky to get all that. But that's where we're at the moment. That was only a really quick sort of go at about half the window with a scourer and just sort of cleaning with a razor blade. So I'll get back into it, and hopefully with any luck we'll get this whole window cleaned up fairly quickly. Alright guys, so if we take a look at the rear windscreen, we'll start to move down. You see a good part of the way down we've got, it's that kind of actually accentuated, but just here, where's my finger? There we go. Just here, if I can focus, there we go. That's where our demister starts, our rear windscreen demister, and it moves down from there. So the idea is all of these little bits We don't want to hit those with a razor blade. We want to try and get those off with a scourer. So we get them as loose as we possibly can and just work our way down. At the moment, I've skipped ahead a little and we've gotten sort of 3 rows cleaned up, kinda. You see I've still got stuff there, but it kind of moves off pretty easily. In between the rows, I can use the razor blade to sort of move stuff away. But I don't want to actually scrape the razor along the actual demister lines, because that will actually break it. And if you break one of those, you essentially lose the whole thing. So we don't want to do that. I'd like to keep it on there. I'd like to keep it working. Yeah. So that's the go.
20 minutes later.
You might have seen that I actually cleaned the rear windscreen on the outside because of the bird droppings and all that. It was just making it very hard to see from the inside, especially just to the naked eye, how clean I was getting stuff. So you can see a good portion of it is cleaned up. I've probably only really done to where my head's at anyway, going that way. It looks deceiving. That's probably about halfway down that I've actually cleaned up. It's quite humid at the moment. It's very hot in here. The rain is not helping. the rain's not been helping at all. It's quite hot and humid inside the car, so I'm just going to keep on going. I think what I'll try and do, the stuff on the rear window seems to be sort of breaking down a bit just with the window cleaner. So I'll continue on with that and see how far that gets me. You can see it's a noticeable improvement already. You can see the poor little beetle hanging out behind us. So yeah, I'll continue on with that. I think I'll actually show you demonstrate the way to lift tint off on these side windows here. I'll try and get as much of the rear one cleaned up, because that at the moment is a priority. That's the one I can't see out of, and that's probably the most crucial for rego. The other two are kind of bonuses. They don't really affect your visibility at all, and they're not actually that bad. The two front windows and the rear window have been the worst and definitely needed to be cleared up. So I'll concentrate on getting the rear one done, and I'll move on from there if I've got the time to. I've got a feeling this one's going to take me a few afternoons, and it's all going to be the same. It's going to be me sitting in a car while it's raining, hot, sweaty, especially once I've got to get the heat gun out. So hang along for the ride, guys. It's not going to be fun. It'll be alright for you sitting there watching. It's not going to be fun for me. So I'll get it. As we go along, you can see that I actually had to dry the window off with the heat gun, let it dry off, and then give it just a quick wipe over again with a clean rag, just to see how much I have actually removed. If you sort of get right up into here, hopefully we can see it. You can just see those little smudges. That's still little bits of tint, sort of a bit of film stuck there. So it just goes to show that that'll look good while it was still wet. So giving it a good dry and cleaning it off again is really helpful. You can see I've done those 3 stripes there, but you can see that all the streakiness there is still the adhesive, so it does take a fair bit to clean up. The razor blade is the best way to do it, because it just pulls it off as just like a coagulated mess, rather than trying to clean it off with a rag. The rags don't pick it up so great. I'd say all up I've spent maybe half an hour to 40 minutes doing this. You can see, you can maybe see at the top there, we've still got scabby little bits up here that we can try, scabby little bits up here and across here that we can try and get rid of. At the moment, they're not too much of a priority. Seeing really clearly out of that back window is my priority at the moment. After that, we can go around and clean all of these little bits up. So now I'm getting down into the demister section, which is going to take a fair bit of work. I have tried to heat bits up that are sort of flaking away here and pull them away. The problem with heating them up on the inside is that you need to keep the heat moving while you go, but the heat bounces back off the window and straight at your hands, which is really, really difficult to grab hold of stuff and pull when your hands are getting burnt. So that's why heating from the outside is really, really helpful at the moment. I don't have anyone to help me, it's just myself. So I'll continue on and hopefully we can get a fair bit of this cleaned up. I don't know how well the video quality is coming out at the moment. It's starting to darken up a bit. It's very hot in here. It's starting to get a bit steamed up. I'll continue on a little bit into the darkness. Unfortunately, I won't capture most of that with the video because it's just going to get dark and the video is going to get really grainy. You're not going to see much anyway. Just know that this is not a fun job. It's a struggle. Getting all the rest of this stuff off now is not going to be fun at all. So I'm not going to make you guys persevere through that. Another thing you might have noticed, if I can, hang on, let me see if I can turn this in here. You may have noticed that I have the child anchor points here. They are in the way, like you would not believe. So that was probably terrible for your ear holes. I apologise. Those anchor points are in the way, so I'm going to pull those out as well, just to get them out of the way. I don't need them. My kids are old enough now that I don't need them. I think my youngest is 8, so she only, and she's a little shorty, so she only needs a booster seat. I don't need the child anchor points anymore, so I'll pull them out. That won't be a hassle. But I'll get into it, guys. Enough boring you. Hopefully the next thing I'll be able to show you is just a clean window, and then we can get into the side ones and really show you how to sort of pull that away. And it should just be a matter of using the razor blade end to pull that adhesive away. Job done. So I'm going to get stuck into it and show you a nice clean windscreen when I'm done. Shush, please. Alright guys, we're back. What feels like an eternity later. I think for 2 weeks almost we were not locked down, but we were kind of stuck in our area. Bridges in and out were flooded, and it was just constant rain, just absolute torrential downpour. Thanks Skyline owner. Does sound pretty nice, but I love an RB. So I haven't been able to do as much as I wanted to because I needed to really put some heat into this rear windscreen, and it's been raining, so to work in the rain with electricity is not very smart, and also to really heat up a rear window when it's raining is also not very smart, because lots of heat and then cold and crack and not good. So I haven't got done as much as I wanted to, and I need to go and get this thing regoed tomorrow. So I'll show you what I've gotten done. I haven't got the side windows done either. It's just been an absolute nightmare. The last 2 weeks has been very ordinary. Well, let's say that. Let's go with very ordinary. So I'll show you what I've got going on and what I've got to work with. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. There's still work I need to do to clear it up, but I'll get to it. For now, it is good enough to pass rego, so we'll go and have a look and see what the go is. Alright, so if we look up top here, we've pretty much got all the way down to there, which is clear, which is fine. If you actually have a look in to the mirror there, we're really only seeing like that much. We're only seeing to that point, so the rest of it is nice and clear, and you can see out of the rear window really well. Like I said before, the side windows aren't that much of an issue, especially this side. This side's really good. The other side is a little bit bubbled, but it won't affect rego at all. It was mainly the rear one, because the rear just completely looked like this. So what I ended up doing was just a lot of Windex to try and clean everything else off, which got us to about the top line of the demister, which PS, the demister doesn't work anymore. I think whoever tried to have a go at removing the tint before broke one of the lines in it, or a couple actually, so it just doesn't work. Don't tell the guy that's doing the blue slit that, please. Cheers. So it doesn't work, but it just meant that I could be a little rougher with it. If we get right in close, you'll see, I don't know how well you can see that, but you'll see little bits and pieces like right there. So you see bits like that. that I still need to clean off. So what I'm going to do is, when it comes time to do that sort of stuff again, I'm going to actually like circle it with a whiteboard marker so that I can see it from the inside, because once you actually spray the Windex on, or the window cleaner on, you can't see that anymore from inside. You can't see what you're trying to scrub off. So I'm thinking I'll circle it, because that's a big portion right there. I'll circle it with a whiteboard marker, so that once it is cleaned off and I can wipe it off from inside and see if it's cleaned off properly, then I can come outside, wipe the whiteboard marker off and move on to the next one. There's a few little bits and pieces all over the place, but for the moment it's good, you know what I mean? Like I can only just see sort of here in the rear view mirror anyway. So I'm pretty happy with where it's at. It does look disgusting, and I really can't get my hands in any further. I did try, and I've managed to get a bunch of heat into here right before a downpour, and I had to try and cool it off really quickly. I had to cover it with a towel and everything so that the rain wouldn't hit it, and yeah. But unfortunately, it's like the film itself is a 2-layer. I managed to get the top layer off, but the bottom layer is stuck, and that's what's here. So that's not just a matter of cleaning it up with Windex. You've actually got to try and scrape it off, which is why we've got bits like this bit and these bits, if I'll ever focus, which is why we've got those left over still. So in time they will get cleaned up, but I will need to take out the rear parcel tray so I can actually get my hands in there to clean it all properly. This part needs to come out anyway, because of all the tint around there needs to be cleaned up. So the whole parcel tray needs to come out. I'll need to pull the seats out, because I want to do that anyway when it comes time to sort of detail the interior. So I'll do all that around the same time. I do need to put new rear speakers in. So yeah, that can all happen at a later date. The rush now is just to get it, well, it's as ready as it's going to be for rego. So we'll see how we go tomorrow morning. That'll be it for this video. Sorry again, this is such a common theme at the moment and it's really annoying me, so I do apologise for giving you half-assed videos. But so that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.